Now, here's the problem that they have, if I may. This is really concerning Fox News right now. This is the scare, and not Afghanistan and the Afghans coming here is very frightening for Tucker Carlson. The fact that, Biden's lowest point is still on par with Trump's highest point, that's very frightening for Fox, but it's not the most frightening thing. It isn't. The most frightening thing is markets in longest buying stampede in 60 years. These numbers...
Futures are in the green ahead of the August jobs report. 728,000 jobs to be added in August. That's the expectation when that report comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Turned out not to be the case. Is about a third less, largely because of Delta, also because school started later. That means September's numbers will be revised up as school started later in some districts. Instead of starting early or mid-August, they're starting late August, beginning of September. So the inclusion of like teachers and other staff that picks up then, that'll be added. Plus offices, people were going to go back to the office and then they didn't because of Delta. That'll also extend into September and October. Those people aren't going to be without jobs. It's just going to... But anyways, this is the part that's scary.
Looking for slowing job gains amid Delta variant concerns. Joining me...
You think?
A Capital Wealth Planning Advisory Board member and SALT strategy...
By the way, that number, just so I show you...
concerns.
Okay, that number was a third what they thought it was 250 something, not 728. And that's an estimate of what it's going to be like. Even though it didn't meet that, it's still, unemployment still was 5.2.
Now, Capital Wealth Planning
By the way, remember when like under 6 was like, holy shit, we're grooving.
Board member and SALT strategy founder Jeff Salt, and joining the conversation all morning long, IWF senior policy analyst Patrice Lee Onwuka and Wall Street Journal assistant editorial page editor James Freeman. Great to see all of you this morning.
Yeah,
Jeff, what are you watching for in this jobs report?
I think it's going to be right on the money. I think they've got it pretty close to 725,000 is the number I've been hearing.
By the way, the 250 some odd that everybody's like, oh shit, it didn't go anywhere near that. I have news for you. They're going to revise it up, probably, double what it is right now. Just so you know.
So
probably next month, but that's how it works.
I don't think there's going to be any surprise out of the job report, and I think the stock market's going to like that.
The S&P has been seeing consistent gains since November. The Wall Street Journal comparing it to 3 wise monkeys: see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, highlighting how we've seen record after record despite headwinds like the Delta variant, rising yields at some points, and the crackdown from China. Jeff, what do you...
The crackdown.
Make of that?
By the way, the crackdown is marginal to what they're talking about. The world's interaction with the Chinese economy is collapsing as we speak. Just get used to the idea. And the one upside is it was going to happen anyways, and COVID hastened it and gave everybody an excuse to move their factories elsewhere. And the stampede is continuing. Just understand that. Factor that. Anytime you hear the whole China eating our lunch nonsense, factor that into your thinking.
Now, I had a portfolio manager last week call this rally the rally from hell, and I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it's been straight up, just like you said, since November, and it's given nobody any kind of decent pullback to buy into, so you either had to pay up or sit on your hands. And
damn it, you have to wait for a collapse. How, where are you ever going to make some money if they just continue to be good investments that maintain their value? What kind of market is that? Next thing you know, we'll say we're getting out of Afghanistan and actually do it.
Not just retail investors, but professional money managers have been sitting on their hands while the market's been running away. We're in a buying stampede. This is the longest buying stampede I have seen in 60 years of looking at markets, and I just hope I'll be able to recognize when it ends and we finally do get some kind of pullback to buy into.
By the way, some pullback to buy into is a severe drop so that they can buy the dip and make money off of stuff they know is sound. They're mad at Biden right now for this long run. And there is no material reason growing from COVID why there would be a correction. There isn't. All these companies were way behind. They're all playing catch up. They've got customers waiting for stuff. They're late on everything. There's a buyer waiting for nearly everything these companies are selling, either down the line or right now. There's expansion going on everywhere because of the contraction that happened. The dip buy-in was COVID, you asshole.
James Freeman, jump in here. Based on all the work that you do, what could end it?
Yeah. Listen to what they're like. What could end this? How could we possibly make some money off of the, isn't there a situation where this could eat shit? Please tell me there is. I don't want to have to buy in like all the other people and actually make money.
Well, one thing, Jeff, I'm curious about is how you view inflation. We have an op-ed in our paper today from Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia saying, let's pause before Congress spends another $3.5 trillion. He's worried about inflation. He's worried about federal debt. I look at the NFIB job survey, small businesses, they have a hard time finding workers. They're raising compensation, which would suggest maybe the inflation is not transitory if they have to raise prices too.
Yeah,
because you raise wages, prices of stuff goes up. As the prices of stuff goes up, people need either fewer workers, so they start firing them, so you have fewer people to buy stuff, so the price goes down because fewer people can do it. That's the downside of the $15 minimum wage that nobody talks about. And it happens with the $20 or $25. It's just like UBI. If you do it too quickly, there's a shock to the system, and people go, "Oh shit, people got an extra $1,000. All right, I'll just drive rent up $500 before everybody else does, because they can afford it. They're going to move out."
Inflation is transitory. I think inflation is picking up at the margin, but I don't think it's going to, be high enough to really impact the equity markets or the economy.
By the way, James, thanks.
Yeah, don't tell Sean Hannity. He's going to be very upset.
Stepping on like all the questions I have for the next hour. I printed your column out about the NFIB, and then I've got Manchin right here. You didn't mention Gene Scalia, his column from the Journal Day. I'm joking, but
that we think alike.
No, Jeff, but what are you underweight here?
I would underweight utilities.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think, in a secular bull market, which is what we're in, all ships tend to rise. The reason I would underweight utilities is I think interest rates at the margin are going up.
At $75 billion in startup value was wiped out of the markets following a 25% drop in SPACs since February. This as Reddit prepares for a potential $15 billion IPO, and Allbirds filed to go public on the NASDAQ.
By the way, hold on. SPAC is really funny. Let's see if I can. That's a special purpose acquisition company, SPAC. A special purpose acquisition company is a company with no commercial operations that is formed strictly to raise capital through an IPO for the purpose of acquiring an existing company. So SPACs fucking suck. SPACs are basically like, we're going to open this up because we're going to buy this. We don't make anything. We don't do anything. They make and do something. We're going to raise a bunch of money and buy them. And doesn't mean and we might sell them and then give you the money. You'll make money on us selling that thing. Maybe. Also known as blank check companies, SPACs have been around for decades. In recent years, they've become more popular, attracting big name underwriters and investors and raising a record amount of IPO money in 2019 and 2020. As the beginning of August, more than 50 SPACs have been formed in the U.S. and have raised $21.5 billion. SPAC. Yes, SPACs are going down because nobody knows what's worth buying, and they can't get things at there were more last year because they could swoop in and buy these companies that were hurting.
Even though the sustainable shoemaker has seen nothing but losses. What do you make of this drop in the SPACs, Jeff?
I don't read a whole lot into that, Dagan. It's something that we look at, but we don't put a whole lot of weight into that.
There's not enough of them. This dude's in material goods. You can just tell. He's like into like buildings and bridges and oil and shit you can touch. So this dude's one of those touch investors. Like if I can't see it, even software is a little shaky for these guys. If you're a company that makes hardware, they're with you. That's where he reeks of this. I don't know who this dude is per se, but that's what he seems like.
I put a whole lot of weight into the action of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P, and the Dow Jones Transportation Average.
Yep. So check and see where people are going, if they're going anywhere at all. This is a nightmare for the Sean Hannitys of the world, and they need desperately for the stock market to tank, the like unemployment to go up. They do like, although they don't support extending it, they do like the effects of ending the moratorium on evictions, for example, because it looks ugly, even though they wouldn't themselves want it extended. It's what they want, but they would never be caught wanting it because it would get them in deep shit.